Yo, what's good? What's good, everybody? What's good? This your boy, Coach Dante. Welcome to another Coffee and Sports in the Morning. I got my boy Mo and I got my boy Dez in the building. How y'all doing this morning, guys?
What's good, guys? Ready to go?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Well. We got some national championships that we crowned it last night. As we all three of us expected. This morning, it's UConn. It was gonna be UConn, and it is UConn. It didn't turn into the whooping that we thought it would be. Would be where they were up by double digits the whole game, pretty much. They were dominating the whole game. You know, San Diego was able to fight back, come back, get within 5. Then UConn pulled away. You know, with the defense, with the size, we knew San Diego wasn't going to be able to score the basketball that much. UConn played some hell of a defense. San Diego State, hit a couple threes to get right back into the game. But again, as we all thought yesterday, and we all said, the big man was going to be a little bit of a problem. They're going to take over on the board. Sunoco had a double-double. 17 points, 10 rebounds. The big 7-foot fella was a problem. They couldn't guard. I mean, one possession, he got the rebound, and he just was standing up like this and going over guys like this with no contest. UConn defense was definitely a problem to San Diego State last night, and it definitely bothered San Diego State. But a good run by San Diego State, man. Very good run, but the game went how exactly was going to be expected. So much defense from UConn, too big. The size bothered San Diego State. Mo, what's your thoughts on this game last night?
It's like we discussed the last show. We thought that UConn's size, their defense, and their depth was going to be the difference in the game. I want to give San Diego State all the credit in the world for hanging in there, making that run, and actually making it a game. When they cut it to 5, I know everybody was like, we got a game now. UConn turns around and goes on a 9-0 run and ends it. That was impressive too. The comeback, but then UConn's response.
Des, what you think about this game?
I think the game itself, like we both discussed we discussed yesterday, the physicality and the defense came into play. I mean, with UConn, they had 3 guys in double figures. Sudoku had a double-double, Newton was just flashing with threes and driving in the paint. And then you had Watson just going off, So you got to tip your hat out to UConn for the physicality that they brought. They had 6 blocks to only San Diego State's like 2. The defensive rebounding was definitely key in the pace of the game. So, like we said yesterday, they didn't show up with the physicality San Diego State. But you got to give them credit, though. They did try to fight back with the pick-and-roll game and stuff like that and the drive and kick. But it just didn't work out, because when you have those 2 big guys and you have guards that can shoot and to control the pace, it's definitely going to be a hard game for sure.
Coach pointed out something really obvious the other day, that no matter what San Diego State did, what they don't have is they don't have enough shooting. They don't have any. They have no shooters. Like, everything had to be to the basket. They just didn't have enough shooting to really make a run at it.
Yep. Yep. And like I say, when you can't score on offense, when you have to just rely on your defense, that's going to wear and tear upon you when you have to play someone that's potentially that's better than you. And UConn, they had shooting. I mean, they went 6 for 17, but again, Jordan Hawkins, they was running him off pin downs and he would knock them down. Jordan Hawkins had a really solid game. That dude is really underrated on their team. He's going to be in the draft this year. I think he's projected to be a first-round pick. And Joey Calcaterra is really good too, man. That guy can really fill it up as well. But give Coach, like I say, Mo elaborated. San Diego State was able to cut it within 5 last night. They were able to cut it within 5, so they was able to punch UConn back in the mouth. But again, UConn came back and say, now this all national championship. Hey, let's go ahead and finish this. And then they came back with the TKO. They came back up with the TKO in boxing and just finished them off. I mean, like I say, everything we expected yesterday morning that would kind of happen yesterday. I mean, the defense was too much, and San Diego State, they're really not a good scoring team. You make them play half-court offense against a very good defense, they're going to struggle to score. They're going to struggle to shoot, and that's what UConn did. But that's what you do. That's what happens when you have all that size on the team. UConn got two. UConn got all that length and size. All their guys are at least 6'5" or at least 6'5". The shortest guy is probably on the bench. One of the bench players. That's the smallest guy that they actually play. So all that size and stuff, and that kind of bothered San Diego State a lot. But good run by San Diego State. UConn definitely deserves the national championship. What we all thought this morning. So again, congratulations to LSU and UConn. And by the way, when y'all was talking on the that show yesterday, Mo, and you know what I really thought about with LSU ladies, they only had 4 seniors on that team. They had no juniors on the squad. They had only 4 seniors, so everybody else can come back. Alexis Morris is a senior, but she's eligible to come back. Right. If she wants to. LSU is going to be back there again. They're going to get back there. They could very much get back there again. 4 seniors, that's crazy. And the rest of those girls was freshmen and sophomores. They didn't have not one junior on that team last year. So that team, LSU team, is going to be a problem. So congratulations to Jordan Hawkins and the UConn Huskies and the Lady LSU Tigers. So we're going to go to the next topic, which is Wemby, which is Victor Wembanyama. Everybody projecting him to be the first overall pick. We've seen his games. We know how skilled he is. How do you think he can fit in the NBA? How do you think he can fit in the NBA? And we already know what team may even close to be going to. My Rockets, we're a bunch of babies playing against grown ass men out there. Detroit is projected. You got San Antonio. But again, I'm gonna flip it around. What team will be better for him, and how do you think he's gonna be? Do y'all think he can put up the same performance he does in the NBA, or it's gonna take some time? Mo, I'm gonna start with you up on this one.
Well, his skill set says he's ready to play right now. We're talking about a guy that's 7'5", but he has a skill set almost of a big wing. So I think he's going to play well. I don't know if necessarily he's going to come in and put up monster numbers, but I think he'll be effective. And like you said, it does matter where he goes.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody wants him, but as a fan, I think the best place for him would probably, to me, would be OKC. Put him with Shea, where he doesn't have the pressure of having to score. Put him with Shea, where he's kind of a sidekick. Or third option his first season, because that Oklahoma City squad, they're young, they're talented. Remember, they get back homegrown. Like they're built. If these guys continue to develop with Getty and company, that can be a problem. Like as the stars in the West age, look at Oklahoma City and look at how they're built. And then look what Shea's doing now, because I don't think this is the best version of him. I think he can still get better. So I think Victor can be an effective player. Like if I was going to project numbers, I think he'll score between 16 and 18 a game and probably have 10 rebounds at least in a couple of blocks. Even though I don't expect him to play much at center, just with his length and his ability and his agility as a weak side defender, he's going to get block shots.
Got you. Des, what you think about this?
I gotta agree with Mo on this one. I got it. OKC seems like the best fit. He doesn't have to be the main guy. I feel like a lot of rookies, especially when you get drafted that high, and he's gonna be one of the top picks, lottery pick for sure. That pressure, and a lot of young guys fold, and it takes time to groom. I think that third option is great. I think another team, Charlotte, I would not mind that, because they need a ball handler, but his game is like Porzingis in a sense of an NBA comparison, but his wingspan's like 7'8", and he's 7'2", so you're thinking like a Bol size player, or Mobamba. That's the height, right? But I feel like Charlotte could be an option too, because he doesn't have to be the main guy. You have LaMelo Ball already there. They just had to add some pieces in free agency, and they definitely have the cap space for sure. Because Charlotte's been tanking for the past 2 or 3 years since they made the playoffs a couple of years ago. They have not been the same team. But OKC is the number one choice, I think, because they're on the rise. I mean, they're growing, and they have Shea, and they have Cody Williams as well, which his brother's going to be playing for CU. But I mean, you have two young stars in OKC. I think you add a third with him. They're a team on the rise for sure.
They might have 4 stars in Oklahoma City like that. Yep. When you look at those, I mean, even guys who aren't stars, they've got guys that are. I can't remember his name right now. He's a great 3-and-D player on that team. He's 24, 25. Lou Dort.
Yep.
So that team with the complementary players, and they're all in the same age range. I'm not saying that's the best spot, but that's the best spot in my eyes. I don't know about Charlotte only because Charlotte seems like where young players' hopes go to die. I don't think it's look, it's not a secret the franchise is not run well. And if you look at what they already have there, LaMelo's a talent, but we already realize it seems like ball boys just can't stay healthy. So I don't know if Victor wants to go to Charlotte, and because that would be extra pressure, because Charlotte has been like a bottom feeder for decades. Like, Jordan is the GOAT to some, but when it comes to being an owner, he's kind of like the woke. He's like the worst owner of all time. So I wouldn't want him there. Houston is not a bad spot. Those are a lot of there's some talented young pieces on Houston, and he could be the centerpiece that could turn that franchise around. So I wouldn't rule out Houston, but I wouldn't want him to go to Charlotte. Wouldn't want him to go to Detroit. I just don't think those would be good fits for him.
Yep. I got a 30-second timeout right quick. Anthony Price, who said Brandon Miller wasn't a top 2 pick? Who told you that? Who on this panel mentioned that? Brandon Miller is a top 2 pick. He's just not number. He might not be just number 1. Wemby might just be the number 1 overall pick. Nobody said Brandon Miller wasn't number 2. Brandon Miller is my favorite guy in the draft anyway. If the Rockets could get him, I will take Brandon Miller. Brandon Miller is one of the best. Probably after Wemby, best guys in the draft, man.
He's a whole problem.
He's a problem. That dude, you talking about the dude that can do it all. You talking about the dude that can fill it up. But the only thing about Alabama, though, outside of Brandon Miller, I question the other guys on the squad. Brandon Miller literally was the reason why Alabama didn't lose some of those games. I seen them struggle against South Carolina, and Brandon Miller just pulled them through that South Carolina game. And South Carolina was a bad basketball team, and they were able to take them to overtime. The only reason they were in overtime because of who? Brandon Miller. That was the only reason they were in that overtime. They won that game, and they was in that overtime game. So glad he got that stuff, probably got that stuff up out of the way, but nobody said Brandon Miller wasn't a top 2 pick. He's definitely a top two pick in the draft. It's just probably Wemby is going to be projected to go number 1 at this point in time. He is definitely that
Brandon Miller. I agree, Coach. Brandon Miller, when he gets drafted, I think he can step in and be impactful at the next level right away because of his skill set.
Yep, definitely agree with that 1,000%.
Exactly.
We just think Wemby is going to go number 1. The way he's hyped up, That's all. Brandon Miller's gonna be your top 2 pick. He's not falling past the top 5. He's not somebody's taking him top 2. Somebody's taking him top 2 and top 3. Somebody's gonna do that. Wemby just may be the better prospect than everybody talk about. So we're gonna move on to the next topic, and this topic is just so crazy. Everybody would think this on the panel, and I've been saying how bad of an organization they've been is. You know, I had several rants when I went on. I had a rant about Sacramento last year, how bad they draft, but they finally kind of got it right this year with Keegan Murray. We all know Sacramento, outside of DeMarcus Cousins and De'Aaron Fox, they draft terrible. But they got it right. They got a right coach. They won. They make the playoffs. So my rant worked on that one. But Portland, since the Western Conference Finals, Portland hasn't done anything. They're another team that's just right there in the middle. They don't know if they want to rebuild. They don't know if they want to compete. So by having Dame on this team, you're still trying to compete in some degree. But the team is not good enough around Dame. So this is the question I propose to you guys. Is it time for Dame to leave Portland? If so, where you like to see Dame Lillard at? Because again, I think Damian Lillard, I understand the loyalty that he's got, and I understand he wants to win a championship. I understand he loves Portland, but enough has got to be enough. At one point, you say, I want to win. I did all I could. In this organization. We went to the Western Conference Finals. We went to second-round matchups, and the team is not good enough. The front office has not done well enough to put guys around me. Nobody wants to play in Portland, really, like that. So at what point, I played my career as in the decade, by a decade with Portland. At what point enough is enough and it's time to go somewhere else and contend? Des, what you think and where you think he should go? Where you think he should go if he wants to request a trade?
I feel that it's time for Dame to go. I feel like he needs a chance to compete. I mean, ever since I think the last playoff game they had, I mean, it's been years. It hasn't really been successful in there. I know we got Chauncey Billups as a coach, and they got some pieces in there from the trade and everything else like that, but it's not working out, you know. And if you try to bring in free agents, how are you going to attract them? Dame Dollar. That's the only really attraction that you really have in trying to get anything in free agency. But I think the best teams, I say 2 teams. You could say the Lakers, but the Lakers, I don't know. You know, I don't know. I don't think so. Probably the Clippers number 1 because they need a ball handler. They do. If you have Paul George, Kawhi Leonard, and you add Dame Dollar with his defense ability, that could be a scary team. The other team, Philadelphia, that would be a pretty good team to go to. You know, you have James Harden, Joel Embiid, Maxey. There's a lot of problems that would force defenses to you know, have tough matchups on. But Dame Dollar, you got to do right by him as an organization too. You know, they have to look at. I mean, they're already shutting him down. You know, they're now out of playoff contention too. And I just feel like as an organization, you can get the best value out your player. Focus on the future because you have young players on that team too. You know, so I just feel, you know, I think it's time to do right by Dame this offseason. They're going to have a sit down talk and see what they can do. But I think it's time to do best by the player and best by the organization.
Mo.
I think it's the same situation. The organization knows they're not going anywhere. As great as Dame is, he is 32. Yep. He is 32. And if the indicators say, look at our roster, look what we did this season, you're not assuming Portland's going to be that much better next season. You're really wasting the last part of his prime. And you could do a solid and get picks, maybe a couple of pieces, and move Dame. And I'm sure Dame would like to go to a contender. And if that, and the thing about the contenders, though, if I heard Clippers, who you moving them for? Because the Clippers, they don't really have the picks you want. So you must be wanting back Paul George or some kind of compensation to keep you competitive. My guess is if Dame gets moved, it'll be to a team that has a lot of picks to give up. Maybe similar to the situation that Minnesota did with Gobert, something like that. I'd love to see him in Philly with Embiid. I think that would be a great combo. But what could Philly give up that Portland will want? Like they, as well as Harden's played, they don't want Harden, and he's older than Dame, so they would be looking for picks to me and some kind of maybe some cap relief or something like that, so they can build for the future. I mean, they've got Miles Simon. I think Simon is a talented young player, but the leap that people thought he was going to take this year, he didn't really take. And you look at Jeremy Grant, good player, but that's what he is. He's a good player on a title contending team. Jeremy Grant's your fourth option. On Portland, he's the second or third option. It just is what it is. It's a stalemate. Dame keeps saying he doesn't want to go. He wants to stay in Portland and win a title in Portland. I believe him when he says he wants to stay. I don't believe him when he says he wants to win a title in Portland because he knows he's not going to win a title in Portland. You can't get big-name free agents to go to Portland. Yep. And they have not drafted very well. Simons is a good player, but what they need, when you give up CJ, and I thought they were going to go rebuild, when you move CJ, you've got to draft somebody who can be almost like your next superstar or almost franchise player. And they weren't able to do that. They're at a stalemate. To me, you have to, as an organization, you got to move Dame while his value is as high as it is for your own benefit. So that you can get some picks and you can start. They don't want to use the word rebuild, but they have to rebuild. So I think they have to move him. The destination is uncertain because they're going to want a significant compensation for him.
Definitely on that. Again, CJ, even if they would have kept CJ, I still don't think it would have been enough. CJ and Dame would not been enough. It hasn't been enough.
Oh, no question.
It hasn't been enough for the years that they've been together. And they made it to one Western Conference Finals. Granted that they kind of overachieved on that one. But again, that duo wasn't going to be enough. Anywhere it goes, they stayed together. So like you said, if you moved on from CJ, will it be nice to do right by Dame and say, hey, we're not going to waste your career here. You deserve to go out and try to compete and try to get close to a championship as you could, and you too great of a player. You too good of a player to waste your career here, knowing you can't get free agents or anything. Jeremy Grant, 20-point per game score. That's good when you're not competing, right? When you're not competing, but at best, like you said, he's a role player. He's a role player on a playoff contending team. He's going to be turned into a role player. So it's good that you can improve on 3-point shooting. That's good that you can score 20 points, get 20 points in a game when you're healthy. When you play with Detroit. And when you're playing with a team like Portland that's not in the playoff picture, you're gonna do all that. And again, we knew who Jeremy Grant was when he played in Denver, when they was competing for playoffs and championships. We knew he was a 10-point per game scorer, and he did his job. He kind of like a Aaron Gordon type, doing his job. He's doing his job, doing what he's supposed to do, making threes. And hey, that's what happens when you a championship contender, playing with a championship contender team. You just do what you got to do. Shaden Sharp is going to be fine. He's a good rookie. Still got some time. Anthony Simons can fill it up, but he's going to be in Portland for a while. So most of those guys are going to be able to get their numbers in. Again, it's going to be a while before they compete, especially the stipulations on how the Western Conference is that we all know. We all know it could be tough. It's going to be a while for Portland to compete. And then, like I say, Chauncey Billups, he may be on the hot seat sooner or later. If this team don't start making some improvements or winning some games, he may be on the hot seat sooner or later. Not saying he's on it after this year. Probably next year he may get up on the hot seat. He may get the pink slip. But again, I think his time may be close to kind of running out in Portland if you don't see no jump, especially when you got Damian Lillard. If he doesn't want to go nowhere, the seat's gonna be balling for Chauncey Billups. So again, man, next topic we got why does Charles Barkley keep coming at Kevin Durant? Seems like everybody's still upset about Kevin Durant, and Charles Barkley can't get Kevin Durant off his mind. Mo, go ahead, take it away.
I think Charles is old school, and he just made the comment initially was he's sensitive. He's part of an era where these guys are sensitive. So he's not wrong, right? Because Isn't KD extra sensitive? He is sensitive. He's
Yep.
one of those dudes that reacts to everything somebody says. And the first thing out of his mouth is when he talks is, I don't care what anybody says, when everybody knows he does care. Or he wouldn't comment on it. Of course he cares. That's why he's running his mouth. So Charles is not wrong. I think Charles is doing this to get a reaction from KD. And he's getting the reaction he wants. I do believe, look, agree or disagree with Charles Barkley. When he says something, I believe he believes what he's saying. And he's not wrong in the sense that KD's sensitive. He's not wrong in the sense that a lot of these guys of this era are a little extra sensitive. That's part of this era, right? If you're a player or a fan and you engage in social media, there's the good and bad to social media. So for every person that compliments you and tell you how great you are, there's a few out there. They're going to tell you you're not so good or you're overrated. I mean, that comes with this. That's all part of this era as well. And KD lives on social media. He can't stay off Twitter or any other. He can't stay off of Twitter. So he responds to trolls. So I think I don't see it as a controversy. I see this Charles Barkley hitting on something that's a factual thing with Kevin Durant. He is overly sensitive, and he's not the only one in this current era of NBA players. They all look at Sports Center, or they read stuff on the internet, or they go straight to social media, and they don't. All the comments are never going to be in your favor. That's part of social media. It just rolls that way. So yes, I don't think Charles was wrong. The fact that KD responds and go, I'm not going to respond to you, or I don't care, I don't respect what you got to say, you're just doing exactly what Charles wants you to do. So I don't think no one's winning in this situation, but Charles Barkley wasn't wrong.
Nah, go ahead, Desmond.
Hey, I gotta agree with Mo on this though. Like, we all grown men. This is, I mean, like, it's constructive criticism, you know. So like, and KD, I don't like him because, like you said, like he's overrated in my opinion. I just think he's overrated, and I mean, he's a great player, but Charles Barkley's not wrong. He'll say some criticism. Shaq says criticism. All of them say criticism. But for KD to respond like, "Oh, I'm not going to talk to you," like Mo said, that's kind of childish, man. We all grown men. We all grown people, and his aspirations and his focus should be winning a championship. Trying to gel with those guys in Phoenix. You know, I mean, he's been out for a couple games and with little injuries and little injury bugs here and there, but he shouldn't. His main focus shouldn't be on social media and Twitter. It should be basketball, helping out in the community, stuff like that. You know, and Charles is not wrong. I mean, he's an NBA Hall of Famer. He's a legend. You know, I mean, and not saying he has that right, but I mean, he knows the game. You know, and the game has definitely changed since he's played. But you can't always, you know, LeBron gets in social media. All of them get in social media. It's just the fact you have to get your head in the game. Don't let that little stuff affect you, man, because why are you gonna let it affect you when you're trying to get to a common goal? And that's to win a championship. That's why he went to Phoenix. So I think he should just be in the books and stop being on Twitter, man.
I mean, again, KD is, like I say, they're not wrong. Mo not wrong. None of us is wrong on this panel. KD, it can be me criticizing this game. He gonna respond. He gonna respond.
Yeah.
He'll let you know. So if you don't care, you don't respond to anybody. You just put him on read. How about that? You just put it on read, and you just let it go. You just let everything and go, and just focus on winning the championship in Phoenix, or either stand on the court if you could do that. If you could do that as well, because Kevin Durant, you know, have some getting up in age. You know, he's starting to have some injuries. You know, the injuries concern a little bit. So again, focus on winning the championship in Phoenix. Focus on winning the championship in Phoenix at this point right now. So other than that, we switch, you know, to the NFL. We switch to the NFL. So we have, you already know, we have free agency pass. Getting ready for the draft in about 24 days for the NFL draft. Pretty much, you know, everybody got some group of free agents, you know. Now you just need to draft to figure out your few holes in the draft. So questions I got for you, Mo and Des. Which team had the worst offseason that you know for its free agency? What team had the worst what team had the worst free agency this year?
Man, there's two teams, and I'm not surprised by it at all. It's all money, and it's both with quarterbacks. First, you got to put Green Bay. It is terrible. They have lost 7 players.
Wow.
Robert Tanya, great tight end, gone.
Yep.
Defense, gone. I mean, and then you have Aaron Rodgers about pending to leave with that compensation. They still trying to work out with the Jets, you know. And then you lose Alan Lazar. You're about to probably lose Randall Cobb. Your wide receiver room is going younger, which is great to Jordan Love, but I mean, you don't even know what you have in Jordan Love. And the money, the cap space, that organization, I'm really surprised that it's not even funny. Like, you have one guy have that much power over your organization. Go on a 2 week hiatus in the dark, makes a decision. He's going to the Jets, and we still can't get the compensation. And then the second organization, Baltimore. That is really disappointing. They lost a lot of their offensive line due to cap space. I mean, we got Ben Powers from the Broncos. I mean, he's a great offensive line. I mean, he only allowed 2 sacks, and you let him go. And it's all about money. You can't pay Lamar Jackson. That guy is an MVP, Hall of Famer type quarterback, and you can't even pay him. And now he wants a trade. He wants out, and you don't even want him out. So now you're stuck in a situation where the draft is coming up. You don't know what your future is going to hold for these two teams. You don't know what's going to hold. You don't know your quarterback. You don't know what's going to happen.
Go ahead, Mo.
I was thinking Green Bay too, because the Aaron Rodgers situation, for the most part, we assume that deal is going to get done. And so they're going to hand the keys to Jordan Love, but they've done nothing to set Jordan Love up for success. I don't understand that. That they didn't add it, and you know what they need. They have nothing on the outside. The offensive line is in disarray. They've got 2 talented running backs, but if your offensive line is in disarray, it doesn't matter. And you've got a young quarterback. You've got to at least give him something as a security blanket, a number one receiver, or at least a tight end that he can rely on that can get downfield, a tight end with a route tree that could actually give him something to lean on, and he doesn't have that. So I thought Green Bay, I really don't know what their plan is going into the draft because they've got holes everywhere, especially offensively. And when I look at Baltimore, the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
You want Lamar, but you don't know what you want to pay Lamar. But you also know that Lamar needs a number one receiver. You know what he needs. So if you plan on keeping him, maybe to amend things and push things forward, go out and get him a number one receiver. Mm-hmm. Go out and get him some more playmakers. Get him some more help. Because as gifted as he is, quarterbacks don't last a long time. Not the ones that run for 800 to 1,000 yards. They don't play 12, 15 seasons. They just don't. Lamar runs the ball like a running back. Like if you watch Baltimore, they run all kind of sets for quarterback runs. Like he carries the ball sometimes 15 times, 18 times a game. That wears on you. Never mind the hits that he takes in the pockets. I'm just talking about the hits that he takes as a running back. Go out and get that man some playmakers because if you, it looks like in the end, I don't think Lamar is going to leave Baltimore. He might want to, but I think he's going to be, if he's going to play this year, he'll play for the Ravens. If the Ravens want him to play, meet them halfway, you got to go out and get some playmakers.
And that's what I'm saying. I'm going to go.
I got one more team.
Go ahead, Dave.
Arizona. It is disappointing. It is disappointing in Arizona. And this is the reason why, though. The same thing. We have a quarterback. Now he had an injury, right? Torn ACL. You don't know who do you got? You know, and then at the same time with a new GM, a new regime, a new defensive coordinator. I mean, they have a whole new staff. And I know it's a rebuild because it's the offseason, but I had high expectations with Arizona. They had the weapons, and then AJ Green retires. So now you got to get another wide receiver. You have Rondale Moore, and D-Hop is probably on the move, you know, and that's probably a draft day type trade because the wide receiver class for this draft is not that deep. It is not that deep. So that's really disappointing because they have the money too. They just I don't know what they did. They didn't do much. They lost a lot of stuff. And the guy I'm really surprised they let go. And Denver got again the defensive end. I forgot his name. Zach Allen. Yeah, great young guy. I mean, great young guy, too legit, a mentor to JJ Watt, and you let him go. And money talks, and the system, and now you have a new coach that was was a defensive coordinator for Philly that let the Kansas City Chiefs come back and beat them. And I know it's a new system, a new place, but how is that going to help Kyle Murray? How is that going to help him? He needs
Yep.
weapons, and all three of those organization needs weapons. Baltimore needs weapons, Green Bay needs weapons, and definitely Arizona needs weapons because the guys can't stay healthy, and the organizations are just moving at a standstill. So I want to see what happens on draft day, see what these three teams do because they need to do something because it does not
Arizona's
look
trying to
pretty
save
for all
money.
three of these
They're
organizations.
not trying to win games. They're trying to save money. Like
He-
the move they make, I look at that and go, so they don't plan on winning much at all this coming season. That seems like the plan. Like
Yeah.
they've basically said like we'll probably 5-12 or something like that. Like they don't look like they're trying to win games. They're looking like they're trying to load up maybe for the season after with picks because they're losing their best players. They're actually giving away or trying to move their best players. If I'm a fan, why would I sign up for season tickets when you're not trying to put together a competitive team?
Mhm.
Exactly. And the Rams too. The Rams are disappointing.
Yep.
That is disappointing. The trade they made, that was disappointing right there. For Jalen Ramsey, that's what you got. I was disappointed. And they're losing a lot of players too, but we got to think after the Super Bowl they won, of course it's going to go down, and you still have Aaron Donald and his future's up in the balance. And the Buccaneers too. You lose the GOAT, it's not really working out. Like you said, Mo, they just looking in rebuild mode and trying to save money here and there and probably tool up in the draft. But it's definitely disappointing because, like you said, as a season ticket holder, if you go into these games, you want to see a team compete. You want to see a team, especially in your city, compete for a championship to bring life to that city and not just be a bottom five team.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm Lamar Jackson, hey, like I said, definitely agree 1,000% with you guys, all the teams. If I'm Lamar Jackson, and I know, health is an issue. Probably why one of the reasons why he didn't get is taking some time to get his money. But if I'm Lamar Jackson, I'm still forcing my way out. But if I'm seeing Kyler Murray making over $200 million, and you saying basically he's a better quarterback basically than I am, and he gets to a playoff game and he plays like that, and then on top of that he tears his ACL late in the season. He's not going to be back by the start of the year. D Hop is going to be gone. He would not play another game in the Cardinals jersey. I think they're gonna trade him this offseason, whether if it's in the draft or some point in the offseason. I don't think D Hop is going to start in the Cardinals jersey. They got a lot of holes to fill. They need a whole new revamp at the receiving spot. So does Green Bay. They need a whole new revamp at the receiver spot as well. Christian Watson just being your number one. Right now, Christian Watson is the number one receiver. That's not a good look when he's a number one wide receiver. And like Dad said, Robert Tonyan is a top 10 tight end in the league. He's a top 10 tight end in the league. You lost him. That was your best weapon last year in the passing game. That was basically your best weapon. You know what he went to? Then he went to the Bears. He went to the division rival. He went to the Chicago Bears. So ready to stick it to him at that point right there. Baltimore need a revamp at the receiver position. You want to know who Lamar Jackson had as his receiver we had to rely on? Well, let's go like this. Rashard Bateman can't stay on the field. That's a guy that can't stay on the field. You remember he came out about the organization and trashed the organization, about the receiving core. You had a beat up Sammy Watkins, who's passed his career. You had Deshaun Jackson. What is Deshaun Jackson going to do at this time? And the only thing you had was Mark Andrews. That was it. Tyler Huntley just left. He left. Tyler Huntley left the Ravens. So if I'm Lamar Jackson and they not giving my money, I'm forcing my way out. Because guess who it hurts? You can say it hurts Lamar Jackson, but it hurts the team more than it hurts him. Because they got to figure out the quarterback situation anyway. They got to start over. They the ones got to start over with no quarterback. Actually, no quarterback. No wide receivers. Nothing but Mark Andrews and J.K. Dobbins. They the ones got to start over. So, yes, you can say Lamar Jackson is losing and hurting, but the team is actually hurt because of him. In the quarterback situation, the team is actually hurt even more because they don't have the weapons. They don't have the weapons. They don't have a quarterback. Now they got to figure this out. They got to figure out what they want to do quick, fast, in a hurry because the draft is approaching. They got to figure some stuff out. What they're going to do, if they're going to keep them or if they're going to move on from them. If they move on from them, then they got to start over. So, but I say again, like we all said, all these teams, they need a whole new revamping at the wide receiver position. Baltimore has to revamp possibly at the quarterback situation and the goddamn receiving core. They got to revamp probably a whole new thing at that point in time. And Lamar Jackson decides to go. If they decide to let him go, So I'm just like, y'all just go ahead and get this over and just pay the man and just put some receivers around the guy. Now he does got to stay healthy, but you can't do nothing about you can't control injuries. You can't control the injuries, what they do, but he does got to stay healthy. But Lamar Jackson, like I say, he may be losing a little leverage, but again, the Ravens are hurt more because they got to do a whole new revamping at both positions, man. They got to do it. They got to do a whole new revamping. So it's not going to hurt Lamar Jackson that he's gone in his leverage. It's going to hurt them even more because they got to start over. That's like starting over. You lose your quarterback and you don't have a receiver. That's like starting over again. That's like trying to start over again. So other than that, we're gonna move on. Freddie, take your medicine. Freddie, take your medicine, sir. Don't come on. Please don't come on here. Take your medicine. Who you think will want to buy the Commanders, Mo? Who do you think will want to buy the Commanders?
The group that's headed by Magic Johnson. I definitely think that group. I like that group to get it only because one, Magic's my guy. Two, Magic's he's got the gold touch when it comes to business. He's got a good sense for business, for marketing. He's got great instincts and he's got great people working for him. So that group, I think that group's the group that I would prefer to buy the Commanders. The Commanders need a makeover from top to bottom, especially at the very top. So you want somebody, an ownership group that comes in and breathes some life, not just into the organization, but into the city. When you realize that the soon-to-be former owner and all the troubles that he's had, it'd be nice to bring in somebody that can bring some hope to this. Daniel Snyder has been like a dark cloud over that city ever since he's been in charge. It'd be nice to see the light of day once in a while. So, and who's got a better smile than Magic Johnson? I just think that group would be my preference in terms of buying the Commanders.
All right, Dez, what you think on this one?
Sorry, I just got back. What was going on? Sorry.
Who you think should buy the Commanders?
What was it? Sorry, I couldn't hear you.
Who do you think should buy the Commanders?
By who?
Who do you think should buy the Commanders? Like buy them?
My bad. All right, cool. Magic Johnson, man. I gotta go with Magic. You got a great guy, LA Laker, Hall of Famer. I mean, he has a Dodgers. I mean, he has multiple businesses that he is in. Commands the room, has the resources in Hollywood, everywhere. So to bring a fresh face, I think they already put a bid to as well. I think Magic Johnson and his crew did too. It would be huge. It would be huge because with Dan Snyder, I just feel like he messed the whole organization up. He just messed it up. So many things, allegations, stuff like that. You change your, if you go from the Redskins to the Commanders, you change your whole logo with all that. And I mean, RG3, everything else like that. I just feel Magic Johnson would be a great fit. And bring that city, something to be happy about, because, I mean, that city hasn't really seen much of success in a while. I mean, their hockey team is probably more popular than all the other sports teams out there right now in Washington, Besides, and then the White House, that's probably it. So, you want to bring some fresh blood, Denver, what we did, I mean, they got the Penner Group. That was not my first choice, but the biggest thing that they have money that talks. They have connections with Walmart and Magic Johnson and his ownership group. I feel like that would be huge because the connections, the positivity, he can command the room, and he can bring and rejuvenate that organization as a whole.
Yeah, yes, indeed. So again, We got the next topic right here, and I'm gonna throw in a topic. Zeke Elliott was released by the Dallas Cowboys. He said he would take a pay cut if he had to just to stay. You know, the Cowboys, they probably would need a running back, you know, in the draft because, you know, Tony Pollard is hurt. He is down with an injury, a gruesome, kind of look like a gruesome injury at 49-40 against the 49ers. That really hurt the Dallas Cowboys ever since they lost him. That offense just went down the drain, went down the toilet after that part right there. Outside of CeeDee Lamb, you had nobody else. Zeke Elliott was released. What do you think, Mo? What do you think is the best fit for Zeke Elliott? Where do you think he should end up, and what team do you think is the best fit for Zeke Elliott?
I think Zeke can still help a team in a different role. I think he knows he's no longer a feature back, but he's still good out the backfield. He's a good receiving back, great in pass protection. Still has a look at his stats. Still has a nose. He's a great short yardage back, great around the goal line. Still has a nose for the end zone. Look, Kansas City has young backs, but they don't have what you would call a dominant back. They live and breathe off of what Patrick Mahomes does. But it would be nice that when you're inside the 5-yard line, Pat Mahomes doesn't have to get into the shotgun. It'd be nice to have somebody that can punch it in there and has a nose for the goal line. I think Zeke could fit there in a certain role. It's a passing team, but when you get in the red zone, you need to have a back that has a nose for the end zone that can run through some tackles, and Zeke still has a nose for the end zone. So I think that would be a good fit.
Des, what you think is a good fit for Zeke Elliott?
I'm actually surprised. I mean, it kind of hurts that he got released in the way the Cowboys did him in disrespect. They said they didn't want to shame him, but they did, in my opinion, because you can't. Come on, man. But at the same time, you know, and they have Pollard, which is a rising star. So I gotta give credit where it's due. I agree with Mo. How his system is. The fact is, I think there's two teams. You got Cincinnati because Joe Mixon. What he's going through right now. And when he runs the ball, he doesn't see the hole well. You know, I mean, when it comes short yard situation, stuff like that, he's okay. But I think that'd be a great team because you have Jamar Chase, Joe Burrow, and adding another weapon like Zeke. I wouldn't be surprised if the Jets try to go for Zeke as well. But see, they already re-signed their guys too. But the Jets seem like they're just trying to do a super team. And then the other team, which I think is interesting because their backfield, because of the offseason moves, Philly. Philly would not be a bad option, especially in the red zone. We all know they love to run the ball with Jalen Hurts. And you think about that offense, if you have Jalen Hurts, Dallas Goedert, and then you have Brown, there's so many weapons. That's going to be kind of hard right there, you know. But I think the best fit will probably be Philly, in my opinion. Philly will probably be the best fit because they are a running team. My second team would be Cincy because they do bootlegs and stuff like that and get in the running game to wear you down, especially in the AFC. When you have the Steelers, the Browns, and everything else like that, that can wear defenses down. But Philly is my number one choice because they run the ball so dang much. It makes sense. It makes
Philly
sense.
would be a
And you
great
play in
choice.
NFC and you can play your Cowboys twice a year. So that'll be a good rivalry for
It's
sure.
a great choice also because of that old line. Philly's got
Yeah.
one of the best,
Exactly.
if not the best old line.
Yeah.
Like they move people. So I like Philly's old line. You're probably right. Philly might be a better choice, especially for Zeke, who now he doesn't have that burst. So now you're talking about old school north-south runner. That Philly offensive line would benefit him as well.
Yep. Hey, Key, Desmond said Zeke Elliott to the Philadelphia Eagles, Key. Desmond said Zeke Elliott for the Philadelphia Eagles. I got one dark horse team that I want to actually go with, and I think that it will be interesting in this role right here. The Buffalo Bills. I think the Buffalo, now losing Devin Singletary, who that was a solid pickup by my Houston Texans, losing him. Very underrated back, 800, basically an 850-yard rusher, borderline 900 yards. I think he can work good in that Bills offense with Josh Allen. The only thing about it, again, pretty much what Mo said with the Kansas City Chiefs, they rely on Josh Allen a lot. They rely on Josh Allen to do everything a lot. That's the only problem. You got James Cook there, but outside of James Cook, really, is Naheem Hines is really a running back, or he's more of a receiving back or a special teams back?
Yeah.
I think that's what Naheem Hines is. I don't think he's an actual. I think he's a running. He can play running back, but he's more of that package when you can use as a receiver or a special team. He's nothing more. He's nothing more. So I think Ezekiel Elliott will be solid behind James Cook. Also, you have a veteran. You have a veteran in there. teach James Cook a few things, but I think that's a dark horse team. But Philadelphia, man, the way that offensive line dominate games and wear down people, hey, you can't tell me Zeke Elliott wouldn't have a fun time behind that offensive line. I still think Philadelphia is going to draft a running back. They will still draft a running back. But I would not be mad if they come up with Ezekiel Elliott up on that part. So again, we're gonna move on to the next topic. Who's the most dominating player in all of sports, Mo?
The most dominating player?
Yep.
Man, that's an interesting one in all of sports. I mean, you could say Patrick Mahomes.
Okay.
Or you could say it's interesting. Giannis is dominating, right? To me, Giannis is dominating. They're more skilled, but he is dominating. I don't know if as great as is Patrick Mahomes dominating, or is he's special? He's a unicorn for sure, but I don't know if he's dominating. It's impressive. He's already been to 3 Super Bowls, as young as he is, and he's won 2. Been in AFC Championship game multiple times. You would say that the combination of him and Andy Reid and the success they've had and the success they'll probably have going forward. Look, I can't predict, because you know how hard it is to win Super Bowls, that Patrick Mahomes is going to win 4 or 5 more Super Bowls. But I'd have to believe he good for 1 or 2 more at least. He good for at least 1 or 2 more. I really believe that, and I'm not a Chiefs fan. I'm just being real. Like the man just won a Super Bowl with no number 1 receivers. I don't know if anybody could do that. Like he won a Super Bowl with 2. Matter of fact, if you watch the Super Bowl, remember everybody got hurt. He didn't win the Super Bowl with 2s. He was winning it with 3s. Like they had running backs trying to play.
The same thing. You took that out of my mouth. These were wide receiver 3s. He's winning the Super Bowl with.
Right. So maybe you can say Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah. Dance, who you got?
I gotta put Patrick Mahomes up there too. I for sure agree with you more on that one, because I mean he's special, man. I mean every year it's like another Tom. He's like a miniature Tom Brady. He's going to Super Bowl almost every single year, and the way he does it different ways, with his arm, with his legs. But we're talking all time. Michael Jordan, man. Michael Jordan. I'm a '97 baby, but I mean Michael Jordan, man, the GOAT. You know, I mean. As a player, he's a GOAT. The second, like I said, I got to put Patrick Mahomes. And then we got to put third, Serena Williams. I got to get some women empowerment, man. The way she's done those grand slams and everything else like that, man, that's been huge. And in the run that she did while she was pregnant too, I mean, you got to give kudos where it's due. But all time, Michael Jordan, man, signature shoe, college, Bulls, all the finals, the accolades. I mean, hands down, man. I think he's the best of all time.
Mine's. I'm gonna go with mine. I'm gonna give Mo best of all time as well, but I'm gonna go with mine's. As of right now, mine's is the best of all time. It's gonna be kind of pretty under the radar, but again, I'm gonna go with Shohei Ohtani in baseball. I'm gonna go with him. I think he's the best baseball player in the game at this point right now. I think he's the most dominant baseball player in the game. As far as pitching, hitting, the Angels are just a bad overall baseball team. That's just all it is. They just don't know how to put a pitching staff together. They're just a bad overall baseball team. Now, you do got Mike Trout, who you can argue has been dominant since he stepped in the league. But now, I think far as Shohei Ohtani, for his pitching and doing it on both sides, I think that makes him the most dominant. I think it's just going to have to take him to move away from the damn Angels. It's going to take him to move away from the damn Angels for you to really see how actually great he's gonna be. And then
I like that, Coach. Look, Ohtani is 1 of 1. That dude is you're not. I mean, what he's able to do most of the times, if you can pitch like that, you're not hitting like that. Like he is a monster. He is 1 of 1. So that's a good call.
He like you said, he for the pitch like that, but he does it both. He hits 50 home. He'll hit 50 home runs, and he'll win 20 games in pitching. In the games that the Angels do win, because he pitched. That's when he pitched. So again, and then my dominant player of all time, I'm not saying he's my all-time. Michael Jordan is definitely my GOAT. He's my all-time player. But under the radar, I'm going to go with Floyd Money Mayweather. Under the radar, I'm going to go with Floyd Money Mayweather for what he's done. He's a very great promoter. but what he did for the sport of boxing, what he did in boxing, after going through what he going through, and a lot of people say, well, he ran away from a lot of people. Well, yeah, if you ask me, he got a shutout versus Canelo Alvarez. He got a shutout versus him. What they said that was a majority decision. And what a judge at now that made that decision. She hasn't judged another match after that one. After that damn wrong scorecard. Everybody knew that was a shutout right there. Miguel Cotto was bigger than him. He beat him, and he's been dominated. He dominated the sport of boxing for 20 goddamn years. 20 goddamn years. He was able to dominate the sport of boxing. But like I said, my greatest boxer of all time was Muhammad Ali. That was my greatest boxer of all time. But Floyd Mayweather, to me, was on very underweight radar. A lot of people may not like him, but again, the guy dominated the sport really, really good, really, really heavily, and he dominated for about 20 years, man. He dominated for a really, really long time.
Coach, like you said,
go ahead.
Floyd might be the greatest promoter of all time. Like he's the guy maybe people love to hate, but you don't think he knows that? You don't think he knows that people was rooting for him to lose? Like, Floyd is an all-time great promoter. He's probably no doubt the greatest defensive boxer I've ever seen. He could just make you look really, really bad and counter and catch you with that hand speed. Like his movement. I used to think that the greatest defensive fighter I ever saw was Pernell Whitaker.
Yep.
I actually think Floyd put Pernell second. That's how great a defensive fighter Floyd Mayweather is.
Yep. And I mean, to elaborate your point, after that fight with Canelo said, I couldn't catch him. I couldn't catch him at all. Right. Couldn't catch him at all. That's how great his defense was and how smart he is, and him being able to cut out the ring the way he does. And he does best, to take away what you do best and keep you in the middle of that ring and counterpunch you to death. And to know every side of the ring, know what every side of that ring is, that's something kind of really special. So again, we're going to go into the NBA. We're going to go into the NBA. So we're going to talk NBA standings, and I'm going to give you guys where we at now, where we at on this Tuesday morning. And Dez is already he's already ready. He's already ready for the Denver Nuggets. We already know, Dez. We know we got you. So as of right now, coming into Tuesday morning, you got a 2-game difference between Milwaukee and Boston for the first and second seed with 3 games left. You got is Milwaukee, is it a lock? Is it a lock for Milwaukee, or are you still giving Boston the opportunity for the 2 seed, for the 1 seed? It's still a lock. Y'all think it's a lock or not?
I think Milwaukee holds on to the 1 seed.
Yeah.
It's not a lock, but I think they hold on to it.
Okay. So you got Philadelphia and you got Boston tonight. That's a lot. That's pretty much a lot. That's 3 games. That's pretty much a lot unless Boston get on a major 3-game losing streak. But other than that, if Boston does lose 3 games, they still own the tiebreaker because, Boston owns Philadelphia. They own Philadelphia in the playoffs. So no matter where you play, they own them. Cleveland got a good 4 and 5 matchup, man, right here, man. Cleveland, that's the home court advantage right now over the New York Knicks, man. That's going to be a very interesting series. That look like that series going to be a lot. That series pretty much going to be a lot, because the Knicks are 3 games over, the Brooklyn Nets. So that's pretty much a lot. I think those 2 seeds going to play. That's the first round matchup between those 2 teams right there. You got Brooklyn in 6th place. Right there. And you got Miami in 7th place. They 2 games down from They still can catch Brooklyn for the 6th seed. They still down 2 games. You got Toronto. You got Atlanta, who we all mentioned yesterday morning, who's to me my most disappointing team in the league. 39-39. You got Trae Young got Coach Nate McMillan fired, and you still can rarely play 500. You still playing 500 basketball. So was it really the coach, or it's the players that played on the court? So again, you got Washington, who's going to fall short. You got Chicago, you got Toronto at 39-39. That team may be different in the offseason. And you got Chicago, who's been on a really good run at 38-40. So again, who's got the edge? Who would you take right now? It looked like it's a lot between 4 and 5. With 3 games left, it look like it's a lot between 4 and 5. We got Cleveland and New York. Who you guys got in that series? Mo?
I gotta go with Cleveland. I gotta go with Cleveland because you got Donovan Mitchell, and then you have Mobley as well, big. And they're playing at a good level right now. They're playing strong. They're playing together. New York is playing strong as well, but I just think the size and length and Cleveland itself, when it comes to that playoff type atmosphere, that city definitely wraps around their basketball team, and the team feeds off of that too. And Spider-Man coming from the Utah, I mean, playing how he's playing and everything else like that. I mean, I think was the night before he dropped like 30 something points, which is not. It's not saying that's not usual, but when he starts having those type of performances, he starts having a game. He starts having a streak for sure. So I go with Cleveland.
Mo, who you got right now in this series?
I think Cleveland is the more explosive team when you talk about the combination of Mitchell and Garland, because both of those guards can break you down off the dribble. Both can explode. What I would say though is I think the Knicks, even though the Cavs I think are the 4 seed or the 5, they're the 4 seed, right? And the Knicks are the 5.
The Knicks are the 5. Yep.
Okay, I actually think the Knicks are the better team. I like Evan Mobley. In his develop. Look, one day he is going to be all NBA. He's developing fast on both ends of the floor. But I actually think the Knicks are the better team. As talented as Garland and Mitchell are, and I've heard so many people talk about how Mitchell should have been on the Knicks. Mitchell is a gifted player, but he's a streaky player. He's very streaky. For every game that he shoots 50%, he has a lot of games where he shoots in the low 30s. Because he's a volume scorer. He's a volume scorer. I think the Knicks are more well-rounded team. And I know Julius Randle is injured, but when you look at quickly, when you look at Brunson doesn't have the highlight reel that Donovan Mitchell has. But I would say as a player, I'm talking about the impact of the game, I'll roll with Brunson over Donovan Mitchell. That's how much I think of Jalen Brunson. So I think the Knicks win that series.
Okay. I like that. I like that. I have the Knicks winning that series also. I got the Knicks winning about 7. I'm gonna say it goes 7. I think the Knicks have experienced the playoffs before. They experienced it last year. Cleveland, this is their first time actually being in the actual playoff push in a while, in the actual playoff series. And plus, the team is pretty young. I'm going to take the Knicks. I think they're more experienced with Jalen Brunson, who has the Western Conference Finals experience. You have Julius Randle, who did have some playoff experience last year against last year, pretty much. I don't think they made the playoffs. No, they didn't make the playoffs last year, the year before last, but he does have the experience. So other than that, I think the Knicks are the better team. But again, I wouldn't be surprised if Cleveland take the series. I wouldn't ever be surprised on that. But I really like what the New York Knicks did, and I really like what Coach Tom Thibodeau did. Start having more trust in the young guys. And you got Derrick Rose on that bench, who's been a mentor and a leader of those young guys. And I say just happy that Coach Thibodeau finally got out of his own way and say, hey, man, now I need to play these young guys, Coach. And again, he's playing the young guys and it's benefiting Manuel Quickly, Obi Topping, RJ Barrett, Quinn Grimes. I love Quinn Grimes, man.
Quinn Grimes is a bad man.
Yeah, that's a bad dude. That dude can shoot the lights out and he can play. He competes on the defensive side of the ball. That's one of my favorite guys, man. I really actually like Quinn Grimes. Plus, played at University of Houston. I'm not a University of Houston fan. I'm a Longhorn fan, but I do respect where he played at, and he played at Houston. So glad that's a good call, Mo. You did that. Congrats. You brought him up. I really love Quinn Grimes. That dude is really, really something good, especially he'll shoot a specimen, man. He can light it up in a hurry. So we switched to the Western Conference. You already know we got them Denver Nuggets in first place. We already know you got them Denver Nuggets in first place. You know, he definitely cheesing about that. He love it right now.
Say what you got to say, Des.
Hey, we coming, baby. We coming, man. We coming. We coming.
Hey, there you go. Let Freddie know you coming, huh? Let him know. Let him know, huh? Hey, tell him you ain't scared of you. Them ain't scared of them. They scared of you, huh? So we got Denver in first place at 52-26. Memphis in second place in 49-29. Not the season that No, Memphis still having a good season, but again, went through some issues with Ja Morant, maturity a little bit. They still could be borderline dangerous in a playoff series. Sacramento at 47-31. Mike Brown, coach of the year, pretty much. Coach of the year is my lock for the coach of the year. Phoenix 43-35. Phoenix 43-35 as of right now. So the top three seeds, I think they're a lock at this point. Y'all think that they're a lock at this point? Would y'all agree upon that?
I think so. Yeah.
I do. I think Denver, we play tonight, and the magic number to clinch the number 1 seed is 1. So we just got to win one more game. I think once we win that game, I think you'll see Denver just sit everybody for the rest of the season to kind of get load management right.
All right. So you got the Clippers right behind Phoenix. You got the Clippers right behind. You got the Clippers and the Warriors and the Lakers are right behind Phoenix. Well, you got they 2 games back. The Clippers and the Warriors are only 2 games back from the win column and 3 games from the loss column. And you got the Lakers right there behind both the Clippers and the Golden State Warriors. And you got the Pelicans right there behind all of those. So between 5, 6, 7, 8, they all within a game of each other. They all within the game of each other at that point. That is crazy. Utah is still not eliminated quite yet. The Mavericks are only 1 game behind OKC. They're not eliminated yet. They still can get into the 10th spot with that 37-42 record. But again, Minnesota, they're in a nice spot. They are 39-40. Oklahoma City, 38-41, who Mo just talked about. They can be a dangerous team. They can be a dangerous team as the years go on. Man, this team is already 38-41. They very much overachieved, man. But to make it to a play-in tournament, no matter what, if they don't even make it to a play-in tournament, no matter what, this is still a heck of a season for the Oklahoma City Thunder. This still an improved season, no matter if they make the playing tournament will be better for them to make it just to experience some type of playoff run, some type of playoffs. Possibility can win the game if everything break right. But if they don't, hey, man, they can lose the next 3 games. But guess what? This is still a great season for OKC. They still on par. Still a great season, Camp. This is nothing. OKC, have nothing to be upset about. This is still a great season, man. Nobody expect them to have this great season. So at the slate of games we got tonight, we got Boston versus Philly.
That's a big game.
My question to you, Mo, will Philly get that first win over the Boston Celtics? Boston Celtics going for the sweep. We all know Philly can't beat Boston in anything, no matter what it is. No matter what it is, it can be boxing, it can be UFC, it can be anything, probably even football. Philly can't beat Boston in any goddamn thing as of right now. They lost 3 playoff series to who? The Boston Celtics with a broken down Kemba Walker. Yes, they did. They got swept. I think they got swept in that series in the bubble right there. So will it be a night at home? 76ers was close the last time they played too. Guess what? Jason Tatum say, let me stop you right there. Let me hit this 3 and win this game. Mo, will it be the night the Sixers win the first game against Boston?
No.
So you going sweep?
No, it's sweep. It's the only way it's not a sweep is if the starting lineups are announced and Tatum and Brown are rested, right?
Yeah.
But if both teams put out their starting 5s, Boston's going to beat them. They're a bad matchup for Philly because of their wings. Philly doesn't really have anybody that can slow them down. I know PJ Tucker looks like he's lost a step. He can't guard either Brown or Tatum. And look at the guys that they have behind them. Brogdon and White. Those guys are nice off the dribble. Like Boston has 4 guys that can beat you off the dribble, score, and create for others. That's a luxury that most teams don't have. The only other team that's probably that deep, but they're a little up and down, is the Clippers. The Clippers got multiple wings that can score. When you look at Kawhi, PG, Norman Powell, Terrence Mann, like even Batum can shoot the 3. Like they've got multiple wings. But I think Boston, when you got 2 dominant wings like Tatum, and by the way, both of them play defense. They both compete on defense too.
Yep.
It's nothing against Philly. When you look at Philly, and they're predictable too. What are they going to do if Embiid doesn't get in the post? They just run high screen and roll with him and Harden the whole game, and they just do it over and over and over and over. So when you got a guy who's a solid player like Tobias Harris, and all they do is spot him up in the corner, they just sit Tobias Harris in the corner. Nobody guards PJ Tucker, and you lock in on Maxey because Maxey's the only guy other than Harden that can break people down off the dribble. Philly only has two guys that can break you down off the dribble. Everybody else is dependent upon Harden, Maxey, and Embiid. They're kind of predictable. That's why I don't think they can beat Boston.
Yep, I don't. You can't convince me either. I'm right there with you. Des, you think Philadelphia get that win tonight? Get that elusive win? If they do, I believe that.
No.
I believe if the Sixers do somehow beat Boston tonight, this is their NBA Finals. I think this is their NBA Finals right here if they end up beating Boston. Do you think they beat Boston tonight?
No, I don't think so. And the reason why I say no, it's not going to happen. Joel Embiid, I like him as a player, but like Mo said, if he get in the paint, they just do Harden and him, screens, and Harris is in the corner. And like you said, it depends on who they start too. If they say, hey, Tatum's out, whatever, we may have a different game. But even Boston's bench is stronger than Philly's bench, The ball handling, Brogdon, that was a great pickup on the offseason. A great pickup. And then you got White as well. Ball dominant, can pass the ball, facilitate, move the ball. And that's the big thing I've seen, even in the NCAA tournament, ball movement. What's your ball movement like? Because if you're just so stagnant and you just do 1-2 kick out, pick and roll, it's not going to help, And Philly, it's a team where they have high aspirations, but then what happens is when it gets to the postseason, they fold, you know? And we say, okay, Joel, Embiid's in the MVP conversation. And the reason why I say Jokic all the time too, look what he brings to the table though. And Jokic will give you a double-double, and he ain't got to have the ball to shoot. Joel Embiid, for the 76ers to win or to have a chance, he has to at least be in the paint and have the ball most of the game, And with James Harden, if his shot's not going, then you definitely not getting buckets. So to me, it depends on the starting lineup, but Philly has never beaten Boston, man. It's just crazy to me. Like, is it in Boston? Is it in Boston?
It's in Philly.
It's in Philly. Yeah, I still give it to Boston. Even if it's a change of venue, it is still not going to change it. And I feel like sometimes Joel Embiid takes plays off. When you get back on defense, you get back on defense. You just don't run and you get mad. I think if, like I said, because there's two more games left after this.
After this, it will be 2 more games.
Yeah, it might be. Like you say, we got to see about the starting lineups because it could be a low management type game where you don't see your starters. But if you're playing your starting five with both teams, Boston just out hustles, out plays. They're physical, and you got to give credit to their new coach too as well. That new coach, with the whole situation had with their other coach, has turned that organization around, and they're a scary team in the East. I see Boston probably going to the Eastern Conference Finals with Milwaukee. And that's just my opinion. I do not see Philly getting past the second round because the fact they get to a certain point and they just get stagnant. You can't be stagnant. So I got to give it to Boston.
Yep.
So what you're saying is this is Doc Rivers' last season in Philly.
Yeah. He's on the hot seat. You got Joel Embiid. You have James Harden. You got Maxey, that's an up and rising player. He's definitely improved his game. Even when they played Denver here, they were a tough team, and I just feel like Doc Rivers always has the pieces, but then when it comes to the players and they get right there, he's always right there, to the finals or getting close to it, and he loses. He's right there. I think the last time was when it was with Boston, when he was really successful with Boston with Rondo, Paul Pierce. But the difference between that team and now, everybody had their role. Nobody was selfish. This team with Philly, Embiid's not selfish, but if he don't get, the ball most of the game, he gets really pouty, So I just feel that Doc Rivers, if he doesn't turn around this season or at least get him close to at least the Eastern Conference Finals, it's going to be a front office talk and say, hey, we gave you all the pieces. We gave you everybody. James Harden, we did the trades, everything. What's going on?
Well, didn't they bring Doc in to be the difference maker? My thing about Doc is he seems to be less a tactician and more of like a motivator. He
Yep.
doesn't really make adjustments. They don't run a lot of set plays. Their offense is predicated off of pick and pop or pick and roll between Embiid and Harden. And when that doesn't work, they get stagnant. Here's the thing about Philly too. Embiid can score 40 and they can still lose. You know what I'm saying? They can still lose. Because there are nights when Harris disappears, nights when Harden go 3 for 18 or something like that. They can still lose, and he can look dominant offensively.
Yep.
I just don't think they're that well-rounded a team.
Yep.
Exactly. And then one more thing. I know Freddie's in the chat. He said we will eliminate them today. This is the only time I agree with Freddie. If the Lakers and Philly played each other one game, Philly, Philly would not just have a chance because LeBron James is a difference maker. Harris, his defensive game is not what it used to be either. That's one thing I got to point out too. He's missing a step too. But I got to agree with Freddie on that one. I see on the chat.
So the injury report is Robert Williams is out for tonight for the Boston Celtics, and Jaylen Brown is doubtful. So it's a chance that he could play. So basically, it shows no indication that their starting lineup is really not playing. And I want to get into really this before we move down to the next slate of games. Now, if you're going to criticize Nikola Jokic about him not making it to a championship or whatever, if he comes short this year of the NBA Finals or if he gets to the Western Conference Finals, but Joel Embiid too, you got to have the same energy. If you can't get past the damn second round of the playoffs, no matter how great you is, you got to hold some slander to him too. You got to hold him slam slander if you're going to do it to Jokic. If you're going to do it to Jokic, it's not fair. It's not fair to not do it to Joel Embiid for a person who can't get out the second round and who loses early in the playoffs, especially for a player that advanced in the playoffs, advanced in the Western Conference Finals, that went to second round matchups. The same round that Joel Embiid consistently loses in is not fair. You can't have it one way. You got to be both ways. If you're going to do Jokic like that, you got to do Joel Embiid the same way. He's a great player. We're not saying he's the reason why they're losing. But if you're going to say, hey, Jokic don't play any type of defense, and Jokic put up these great performances, and you're going to say it's not good enough to put your team over the top, that you the star player, same goddamn thing go to Joel Embiid. It's not good enough. You got to get your team out of the second damn round, no matter what players you got. You mean to tell me with that lineup that Jokic had last year against Golden State Warriors and still got him a win and still carried him to a game, you're going to say who's winning any playoff series with that lineup that Jokic had when Aaron Gordon down there, your second best player? Who's winning that? Who's winning a playoff game with that damn team right there with that team?
People forget that they were down Jamal Murray.
Yes.
I think Porter was hurt again. It really was just him and Aaron Gordon, and they got a win. And I thought for sure that was going to be a sweep.
Yep.
That really was about how good he is. And you're right. Let's hold Embiid accountable the same way we hold Jokic accountable. You know what? Everybody says the return of the big man. I'm not so sure about that. It's hard to win a title with the way the game's played with a dominant big. Giannis is different from the other two because he can play in an open floor. He's totally different. He's a big, but he's unique because he can beat people off the dribble. And he just outworks you. Like he attacks 50-50 balls the way a role player would. He has a motor that very few people can match. I don't think right now Jokic or Embiid are going to win titles anytime. It's hard to win a title with a big man when the best players play on the perimeter. There's certain things the big man can't control, and they can't control if the other teams have dominant wings. You can't guard them. This league is different. I'm not saying that you can't have success with a big man. I don't think you can win a title unless that big man has a dominant wing beside him. He's got to have sort of like the Kobe Shaq thing. You had to have somebody on the outside that can balance out what Shaq did on the inside. As good as Jamal Murray is, I don't know if he's that dude for Joker. And I know, look, James Harden is really good. And I do like the way that he's turned himself into a facilitator. But I don't think with this version of Harden, you can win a title.
Yep, definitely agree with that. So I had to bring up that little slander right there because everybody say Jokic is kind of overrated. And if you're gonna throw, and then Jokic, very much to win his third straight MVP. But if you're gonna complain about Jokic not playing any defense, well, defensive rebounding is part of the defensive side of the ball anyway. But if you're gonna complain about Jokic overrated, he can't get his team pat, he or right on him about the first round last year with the team he had, or if he can't get up out of can't get to the championship or Western Conference Finals, well, Joel Embiid hasn't even been close. And how great he is, he haven't been close. So the same slander goes for Joel Embiid. That if you guys are gonna hold Jokic to that, same slander for Joel Embiid. You got to hold him to that too, no matter how great he is. You got to hold him to that. He can't get out the second round, so it's never good enough. So if you're gonna do that to Jokic, same thing goes to Joel Embiid. He's not just not
Exactly.
good enough. It's just not good enough. So you got the Toronto Raptors versus the Hornets tonight. They're 39-39. Mo, will this be a Raptors night? Should be against the Charlotte Hornets, but what
It
would it
should
be?
be.
Okay.
I expect the Raptors to win, but I'll say this about the Raptors: when you look at that team, I'm talking about the talent on the team. They've got a
Mm-hmm.
lot of players that a lot of teams would want on their team. When
Yep.
you know what I mean, I'm talking about Siakam, Van Fleet. Um, uh, they just have a lot of talent. OG Anub, they have a lot of talent, but they don't have any one guy I think you can build around. They have a lot of good pieces, but I think they have a lot of the same pieces. I think that's one of those teams that they're going to be rebuilding. They need to break that core up and start from scratch because I think it's obvious that core it's run its course. And it's not to say it's all about the players because we're talking about some really talented players, but there's not a superstar or what I would call a perennial all-star on that team. I really look at that team and go, they've got pieces that everybody would want, but nobody that you could build around.
Yep. Yep. Des should is the Raptors gonna get this win or somehow Charlotte's gonna come out to play?
I gotta give it to Toronto. I mean, Charlotte, they had it. They just need to wrap this season up, start fresh. They need to wrap it up.
No,
Toronto, like,
it sounds like
like,
Charlotte every
like Mo
season.
said though. I mean, Toronto is that team that has pieces where when you look at the trade deadline, teams were calling. I mean, you have Obi
Yes.
Jiminobi. I
Yeah.
may mispronounce the name. Pascal Siakam, which he was an all star, but like you say, he's kind of falling off a little bit. They don't have that guy, that dude, as Deion Sanders says, that dude. Where you can build around. You're having, Fred Van Pleet, and they're saying that's kind of like the core guy. But I mean, there was talks during the offseason, was he going to, stay in Toronto? So I gotta give it to Toronto. Nick Nurse, the coach, definitely a great coach in this league.
And
I
he's
think they get
stepping
the
away.
win, and after that, the next game they can just rest up, get ready, because playoffs are coming, man. They're coming. I mean, the play-in starts April 11th. It's coming right around the corner. But I feel that Charlotte just can't compete. I mean, you got lengthy guys too. Toronto has some lengthy guys
They do.
where I mean they pressure on defense. They can shoot the three. They can pick and roll, and all those guys kind of have like the same skill set. Where the point is, after this offseason, Toronto will have to blow it up, but they just got to get the W, and then they can just rest up for the playoffs. That's what I think. But Toronto's definitely in the dub.
All right. So next game, I mean, Miami Heat ain't played their best this year. We can argue that. But again, if they can find a way to get the sixth seed, I think this is a team that's going to give Philadelphia a problem. I think Miami will pose more problems to Philadelphia than I think Brooklyn could pose. Because Miami, I think to me they're a playoff team. They get up for a playoff. They get off in the playoff stretch. They play better as in a playoff stretch. If you can game plan for a 7-game series, Eric Spoelstra, Jimmy Butler, that will be tough for a team like Philadelphia, especially for a team that's already had success against the Philadelphia 76ers. So they in Detroit tonight. Mo, what you think will happen in Detroit? Will Miami beat Detroit in Detroit tonight?
I think so because I think Miami still got something to play for. They want that sixth seed. They want to get to that sixth seed. I think they like the matchup with the Sixers. So yeah, I think Miami does win tonight.
Des, what you think? You think they'll win tonight?
Miami for sure. Miami wants that smoke. They want that smoke. And with Miami, you think about what the pieces they have. They have Bam Adebayo, perennial All Star. Duncan Robinson, shooter. I mean, they got Tyler Hero, shooter that can get hot in the playoffs, and we've seen it in the playoffs. They get hot when they shoot. And then you have, I think they still have the guard Kyle Lowry. They still have as well, which
Yeah,
has some playoff experience as well. They're definitely gonna get the dub. When teams know and they start to understand the standings in the playoffs and stuff like that, for teams in the 4, 5, and 6, and the way it is in the West and the East, they are already like, okay, what can we do? And at the same time, they're jockeying for position. And now it's like it's win or go home moment. One loss can set you back one. Now you're playing a different team.
Right.
And that matchup may not be in your favor. But like Mo said, they played the 76ers. They have success with the 76ers. That matchup, you think Bam Adebayo and Embiid's a good matchup? That's a good matchup to see. Because Bam
yep,
Adebayo, I think, is way more physical than Embiid. Plays with more passion, more energy. And with Eric Spoelstra, he has that playoff experience. So I got to give the win to Miami. They're going to get that 6th seed. They're going to wrap it up, and they want that smoke because you think about it, when a team gets a position like that in the playoffs, they already are game planning ahead of time. Their assistants, everybody watching film, they ready for it, and they played them before, so they already know what to expect.
I
yep,
think Bam can use his quickness and his ability to run because Bam doesn't run like a center. Bam runs like a wing, and
yep,
I think Bam can run Embiid. Embiid doesn't want to run. He can run Embiid. He can that's how he evens out with Embiid's size and his strength. He runs him. Um, Look, Embiid might be the most talented center, but he's not the most well conditioned.
yep,
So I think Bam can run him. Embiid does not want to run. So
Exactly.
I like the Miami Heat versus the Sixers in the first round. I'm
hmm
not saying they'll win, but I like
yep,
them to
yep,
make it a hell of a series.
yep, yep,
It'll be a good matchup. And one thing too, the bench. Bench plays a big factor in the playoffs, man. Your bench.
yep,
And Jimmy Buckets, they got that defensive presence. Miami does. They got that defensive presence. And we all said, like, you can't be stagnant as a Philadelphia offense and try to do pick and pop. That's not going to really work with Miami because Miami's in the East. And most of these East teams, when they have big men, try to do the exact same thing. And it doesn't really work out. Even when Miami played Denver here, they play Jokic straight up. They play Jokic straight up. We won that game by shooting, not by in the paint.
yep. So we got possibly a trap game because Orlando has been really good season this year for Orlando, especially the last 2 years for what they had. 34 and 44. Got an upcoming star in Pablo this year. You had Markel Folks, who's been really good, who's been solid when he's back, especially Philadelphia. Everybody that leave Philadelphia gets better too. That's one thing about Philadelphia too. People will tell you about that. One thing about Philadelphia, you lead them, you leave. They get better. Isaiah Joe turned into one of the best 3-point shooters over there in OKC. Now Matisse Thybulle can make threes all of a sudden. He can make threes over there in Portland all of a sudden. So again, you got but you got Cleveland going into Orlando. Mo, you think this is a win or it's an upset?
Is Cleveland locked into that 4 seed
I think
or
that
5
they're
seed?
locked. I think they're
Or what?
locked. I think that's a lock. That's a
If,
lock.
I think if they're locked in, then I would look for Orlando with the upset because I think that you want Mitchell, you want Garland, you want Mobley, you want those guys going into the playoffs healthy. So I doubt if all of them play.
Yep. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I agree with Mo on this one. If they already locked it up, like I said, when teams jock for position and they know what to lock, they will start doing load management. Some guys will not even play. Like Denver right now, they said it was Jokic with the calf. It actually is a calf, but I think it's a little bit of both a load management and a calf. But then you kind of see what you have in your stars, see in your bench. So I feel Orlando gets the win. Cleveland gets a rest. Cleveland can kind of see who they got on their bench, see who they can, probably put a wrinkle into their playoffs hopes, see it, upcoming star. It's on the bench. Hey, can get hot, get 20, maybe 10, 15 points a game. But I think, is it in Cleveland too? Or is it in
Not in
Orlando?
Orlando. It's in Orlando. Yeah, in Orlando.
Yeah, I give it to Orlando. It's one of those things like Cleveland's already locked it in. Not saying they're giving up the game, but it's going to be a game where it's just load management.
Yep. So again, we got Milwaukee and Washington tonight. I'm gonna give y'all the report to see who's all playing, who's not gonna be there, so that will make your decision kind of easier. Middleton out, Grayson Allen out, Myers Leonard, nobody cares about that, but he's doubtful. Javon Carter, who's been actually a dark horse, really good for Milwaukee, he's doubtful. But on the other side, Kuzma out, Monte Morris out, Bradley Beal out, Porzingis out. So that's they starting 5. So
all right, so Milwaukee got this. Milwaukee got this. Giannis might put. I mean, if he needs to, he might go for 35 or 40. I think Milwaukee got this.
Dez, you want to take a real bad?
No, I'm thinking about it. I say Milwaukee, man. Washington's not even in the playoff race, correct? They're out, right?
No. I think it's time for Bradley Beal to get the hell up out of here.
Yeah, they what they did is they said we done. No,
Yeah.
you know. But like I said, that's not fair to the fans because now you're gonna see mostly what bench players play.
Yeah.
So I guess you get to see what's in your future and see what's on your bench. And I think for Milwaukee, with the players they have out, Middleton's out, right? Correct. Giannis is going to be that main guy to score. Grayson Allen's more of a defensive guy as well. He can shoot the three, but he's more defense as well. I wouldn't be surprised if we see Giannis have a triple-double tonight, to be honest with you.
You might.
Right. So we got another pretty much. No, I'm not gonna say it's a trap game. This team can win this game. And again, the injury report, you got none on the Brooklyn side, and Brooklyn is at home. You got none on that side. But you do got some concerns on the Timberwolves side. Karl-Anthony Towns just came back. Nas Reed, that's a huge loss. That's a huge loss for Minnesota for how he's been playing this year. That's a hell of a loss, and that loss may very well hurt them, but he's out. You know, he may be done. He may be done for the rest of this season. Karl-Anthony Towns, doubtful. Jaden Howell, their backup point guard. He's been out for some time. Austin Rivers is doubtful. Mo, who you got?
Well, Minnesota needs this game. They're still trying to fight. They're still fighting for the playoffs. They need this game, but I don't think they're gonna get it. I think they take another L.
Okay.
Yeah, I gotta agree with Mo on this one. I mean, you said Karl-Anthony Towns is doubtful?
Yeah, he's doubtful.
Does he have like an injury, or is it just straight up he just?
I mean,
I'm sorry. The reason why I say that because you need this game. If I'm him, whatever I'm feeling, we need to get in. I'm going to do whatever I need to do. I mean, you have the greatest players when they hurt and they know they down a game or they trying to get in. I would do whatever I can. The other players that are out, except the backup point guard, Austin Rivers doesn't really play much. He just shoot threes, spacer type guy. Reeves, that definitely hurts them because they definitely need a guy like that. But I gotta agree with Mo on this one, man. I don't think the Timberwolves. I mean, if I'm Karl-Anthony Towns, you're trying to make the playoffs. You know, I mean, the Wolves are starting to come up. They had a decent season, but you got to think about it, even if you play and you don't make it, look who you attract as free agency, man. You know, you got Gobert, which doesn't do much, but I mean, you got two big men. You could attract more players.
That's the problem.
I would just give it all I got, if I was Minnesota, though.
Yep.
That's the problem. Somebody should fire that GM. That was terrible. You gave up 4 number ones for Gobert, and you might not make the playoffs.
Wait. Who's their GM? Who's their GM?
Somehow, I don't know, but he should be fired.
Because I know the Nuggets' old GM went to. I think he went to Minnesota. I think Tim Conley.
That may be. I'm not for sure who's the GM.
I think it might be Tim Conley because the dude be doing it.
They'll put a Nugget. That guy gave you. How do you give up all that, and you might not make the playoffs?
I told everybody.
If I'm Karl-Anthony Towns, and I'm looking at that. If I'm Anthony Edwards, and I'm looking at that, I want to sign up for more of that because that's what you sign. Look, Gobert is what he is, but they traded for him like he was a franchise player. They traded for him.
Everybody was jumping up and down about, this is going to improve Minnesota. No, it's not. Minnesota not a very good team. No, not a very good team. You see where they in right now. They still fighting the playoffs, and it took. Like I say this, and this is what I'm saying. Like one, I believe on when we do our podcast Friday, the NBA side with Cool McCain, and I said who's the most overrated player in the game. This is why I named Karl-Anthony Towns, because when you were in the playoffs last year and against the Houston Rockets, he folded up under pressure. But it took Anthony Edwards just to come in, just for him to make the playoffs. If you look at Karl-Anthony Towns' career, by him as the number one guy, he could not do anything or make the playoffs. But you get Jimmy Butler, what do? They make the playoffs. Jimmy Butler leaves, what do? they go back on a non-playoff drought. Anthony Edwards comes in, didn't make the playoffs the first time, but his second year, Anthony Edwards, what did they do? They make the playoffs. They made the playoffs. Now, Karl Anthony Towns has to have another guy on the side of him, especially a guard that can come in and contribute and be that stud. So, like I say, I think Anthony Edwards more of the Timberwolves franchise player than Karl Anthony Towns.
It's his team.
I think it's more of an Anthony Edwards type of team more than the Karl Anthony Towns team. Karl Anthony Towns cannot lead a championship type of team. Anthony Edwards has a better chance than Karl Anthony Towns as of right now.
Right.
Not saying Karl Anthony Towns is not great. He's a very good player. He's a very good player. I'm not gonna say he's a superstar. He's a very good player. He's a very good player, but he's also overrated because again, he cannot lead Minnesota even to sniff the playoffs. Karl Anthony Edwards had to come in, and they made the playoffs with him in his second year. To emerge for them to be a playoff team. That's not a good look for Karl Anthony Towns. Yes, you can average a double-double. You can shoot 40% from the three, but at some point, you would think you would have an impact on your team making a playoff push. But other than that, that's what it was.
Cat's a number one talent.
Yeah,
but he's got the mentality of a number two. He's not that guy. He's not. And because of what they did with Gobert, you have to look at that team going forward. Like you said, that's Anthony Edwards. If that's Ant's team, you can't get rid of Gobert. Nobody's gonna. So we both know that you can't get rid of Gobert. But if you're gonna have Ant out, you got to move Towns.
Yep.
That's the asset that you can move that has value that can help Ant out because the idea of putting Towns and Gobert together, that didn't make any sense anyway.
That didn't make any sense.
It didn't make any sense anyway.
It didn't make any sense at all.
They were trying to make the Twin Towers, man. They were trying to make the Twin Towers, and they're big men. Big men do not control the game, man. Mo, I agree with you on that one because you got to have spacers. You got to have a wing. You got to have somebody that's other ball dominant because the other two, they're post. They're post. Right. What is it going to be? The mid range and defenses. And Gobert is really slow. He is really slow, especially when he's little pick and rolls. Even when he was with Utah with Spider, really slow. Can't shoot free throws. Barely shoots good on the three. And the cap space with his cap number is so dang high. Yeah. For a player of his caliber and the age, I was just like, get out of here. But
and they eat him alive.
Yeah, exactly. And Minnesota, they got to look at it this offseason. If they don't win tonight, they got to look at this offseason, have a sit down and say, hey, what are we going to do? Because you can attract free agents, but the thing is what are you going to do? You got to get rid of Karl Anthony Towns. And he doesn't seem happy at all either, in my opinion. He doesn't seem happy in Minnesota anyways. Because once that trade happened, I felt like that was a kind of a little bit of a slap in the face of Karl Anthony Towns. Because, I mean, why would you need another piece? Vanderbilt, that was going with the Lakers right now, is actually playing great. When he was with Denver, he was playing great. High energy, young. And they had a great group when they traded D'Angelo Russell and everybody else. So Minnesota has to look in the mirror and say, hey, we need to do better. What can we do? You need another superstar behind Edwards because he's young and he wants to stay hungry. That's just his team. It's his team.
Yeah, put another wing out there with Ant or a point or scoring point guard. We talk about Dame Lillard. That wouldn't be a terrible place. Put Dame with Ant. That could work. But
that's a scary team.
Like Coach said, Towns is not that dude. And because you can't move Gobert because of what you gave up, you got to move Towns and get back some assets that can help Ant. Because if you don't help Ant out, Ant's gonna bounce.
Yep. And again,
Ant's gonna bounce.
I tell people this all the time before we move on to the next game. Tell people this all the time. Yes, you want to look at who the team got in the trade, but you also want to look at who you lost. When you lost Jared Vanderbilt and Patrick Beverly, when you lost those guys, hey, that mean a lot. That mean a lot. Jared Vanderbilt meant a lot to the squad. He meant a lot to Utah as well. And look what he's doing. Look what he's doing with the Lakers. He's been everything I expect him. And guess who he's from? He's from the city of Houston. So I covered him, watched him a lot. Watched him actually a lot. Impact games on both sides of the ball. So that's one of my favorite guys, man. Definitely respect Jared Vanderbilt. So yeah, we have the Red Hot Chicago Bulls at home versus, our favorite team, the inconsistent Atlanta Hawks. Tonight, the injury update, Trae Young is doubtful. DeAndre Hunter, he's never on the floor. He's going to be out. Caruso doubtful. Javonte Green doubtful. Will it matter, Mo, tonight who wins this game?
It matters for Chicago because they're still, they're planning on making the postseason, and they kind of peaked at the right time. They've played well over the last 10 games. If you can get into the playoffs and you've got two dynamic wing players like they do with Levine and of course DeRozan, they can cause problems. They can give you, and don't forget, Vucevic is a big that can post and he can step away and shoot the three. So offensively, they can give some teams some problems. I think Chicago wins tonight because they're on a mission. They're trying to get into the postseason. Atlanta looks like they're folding it in. It looks like a team that's broken. And like you said, I had high hopes for DeAndre Hunter when he came in. And it's not that he didn't have talent. He's just always unavailable. He's always hurt or nicked up. And that probably plays into some of the struggles the team have. Their rotations, their lineups. Hunter's always hurt. Collins is lost in the shuffle. They don't even use him properly. It's almost like he's not even on the team. And so you've put everything basically on those two guards, and that's asking a lot. I'm not excusing anything, but I'm just saying that people killed Nate, and Quinn Snyder came in. He hasn't done any better than Nate.
I gotta agree with Mo on everything on that, man, because Bulls are up and rising, really on a hot streak, and they peaked at the right time because the playoffs are coming up, and I feel like a win tonight would bring some more momentum, and they're healthy. That's the biggest thing. They're getting healthy, besides Ball, but I mean, besides that, they've already patched that up, moving on forward, and they move the ball movement. They have two scorers that can do it. Vucevic as well, which, I mean, that's just a gift for Chicago. I mean, when he came from Orlando, he was shooting, making numbers like Jokic. I mean, double, triple-double, perennial all-star. Their bench as well. And for Atlanta, it's really disappointing because I had high hopes after even that trade that happened. And you put too much pressure on those two guards, and this will probably be a season for Trae Young to do some reflection. It's not all about you. This is your team, but you have to be willing to share the sugar. You need Collins back in that lineup. What they did to him, I think what they need to do this offseason, and I know he wants to go, they should just, let him go or see what they can get in future assets because you're not even playing him. The guy plays with high energy. I mean, the guy was, I think, in the All-Star conversation 2 or 3 years ago. And really high energy. I mean, even when they were in the playoffs, when Trae Young was like really coming out fresh young and they made the playoffs, you can see Collins with high energy. And with Snyder, he's not doing any as well as McMillan. And I can't really blame him though, because look at the roster you have. The roster keeps on changing like it's a baseball lineup, and that's not fair. That's not fair. You know what I'm saying? So, like I said, this offseason, the Hawks definitely have to do a look in the mirror in their free agency, their front office, because that city needs something to be happy about. I mean, even their football team is not as great, but they're getting more hype because the change of the quarterback and everything else like that. But they definitely need to have a look in the mirror in the offseason for the Hawks, but I got to give it to Chicago in this one. They're hungry. This game tonight will definitely boost their confidence into the playoffs, and they'll be ready to go.
Yep. So the next game, I hope I don't have to. Well, I will lie say again. We got the Denver Nuggets going against my Houston Rockets. And it's pretty tough to be a Rocket fan, but like I say, I understand the consequence. We were not going to have a good season any goddamn way. So as a Rocket fan, hey, it is what it is. You just want to see the young guys improve, and I'm seeing half of that. I'm seeing some of that this year. Seeing Jabari Smith come along and be starting to know how to play like himself, play like he played at Auburn. Otherwise, Denver, the injury report, it's not an injury report to me. I just think Denver knows they're kind of resting some guys, but Nikola Jokic doubtful, Jamal Murray doubtful, Zeke Elliott doubtful, Colin Gillespie is doubtful. For the Rockets, Jason Tate is out. He needs to stay out. You've been out the whole goddamn year. Don't bring him back in the damn lineup. Let him sit out. We only got 2 games in the season. Let him sit out. Coach Steven Silas is going to be canned after this year. Thank God I don't have to see him after this year. Nix should go back to the G League. Not a very good type of player, but other than that, I'm okay. Other than that, Mo, who you going for in this game? Who you got?
I think the Rockets win.
Oh,
I do.
you
I
did.
think the Rockets win. I
I
think
think you did
I
get
think
my
those young
hopes
dudes
up.
will come in aggressive and they're gonna play with house money. I think the Rockets pull it out.
There's who you want.
You said Zeke Naji is out, right?
Yeah, he's doubtful. He's
He's
doubtful.
doubtful.
Very doubtful.
So with Denver, and I think all the fans in Denver notice this, when you have our benches become our little the weakness, right? I think we talked this in the last episode.
Yeah.
And Jokic's calf is a real thing. I mean, he's been out for I think what 2 or 3 games, and it's a real thing. Jamal Murray, they're 1 game shy of clinching the 1 seed. Essentially, I don't think they're going to play him. I think it's load management. Zeke Naji, if he doesn't play, that's going to be a problem, because he kind of helps complement that bench with another big man presence because who we traded for from the Lakers, Brian, he really hasn't showed up in the lineup. And he's had less minutes with the Nuggets than he had with the Lakers, and he was doing way better with the Lakers. I don't know if it's system, fit, altitude. I don't know what it is, but he's definitely not getting it. I might say Houston in this one, but I love my Nuggets, so I think Denver will pull it out. The player to watch for, 2 players, Peyton Watson from UCLA, the rookie. He has a defensive presence, and Christian Braun. They are coming up.
Love it.
And the other player, if you don't have Jokic or Murray, this might be a game for Porter to go off and shoot threes.
Yep.
He's I think legitimately the
He's
3rd
gonna
or
shoot.
4th best scorer. But if you don't have Jokic or Murray, you might have an Aaron Gordon, Porter, and Christian Braun with a little bit of Peyton Watson and probably KCP tonight. I say probably 110-97 win, somewhere around that range.
Pretty solid. So we got the next game. Someone, may turn into a butt whooping real fast. Just depends. You got the Portland Trail Blazers going into Memphis. Might turn into a kind of solid beatdown, and as the moment goes on, probably in that second half. So you got no injuries really like that for the Grizzlies. I mean, you got a doubtful, but you got Dylan Brooks. Don't think it too much will matter to Memphis because due to the game is in Memphis. Now Portland, you got Nasir Little's out. You got Cam Reddish. He's doubtful. You got Kevin Knox. He can't find his way into the league. He can't find his way. He can't catch a break. You got Javon Watford, who's pretty good. And you got Matisse Thybulle, who's doubtful. Don't think it really will matter. Portland can play every half they whole team. I don't think they still beat Memphis in this game. So who you got, Mo?
I got Memphis. I suspect Memphis will pull away at some point. I don't think it's going to be a close game.
All right.
Is it at home in Memphis?
Is it? Yeah, it's definitely.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be, and there's no injuries for Memphis, correct? No injuries for them. Nobody's out. It's gonna be a game where Memphis wins. John Moran gonna get his swagger back. We're gonna see all in ESPN. He probably might go for 20, 10, and 5. They gotta get their groove back a little bit because with that whole John Moran situation that happened here in Denver and everything else in the club situation, he's getting his little swagger back to maturity. I think it'd be a game for a confidence booster. You don't have to spank him, but a confidence booster where John Morant feels comfortable. the player I need to see for Memphis to, and I just don't feel comfortable. And this player's been always in the NBA news, really physical. He reminds me a little Matt Barnes, Dylan Brooks. He needs to kind of. I think this is a game where he kind of goes off a little bit. You need a little bit more excitement because you have John Morant, you have those pieces, Jared Jackson, and stuff like that, but. I just want to see a solid game from Dylan Brooks. I don't want to see no fights, no technicals, no nothing like that. We need you for the playoffs, and it's at home. I think they get a spirit win. Memphis does. But I want to see Dylan Brooks at least do a little bit more offensively, less trash talk, because you got to let your game talk, man. And I think this will be a good confidence win for them going into the playoffs. But Memphis wins.
All right, so we got 4 more great games, and they all pretty much will matter, except for one game, but these games will all pretty much matter. So this is where it gets really tough to predict. So again, you got these 2 teams coming in healthy. They're coming in healthy. They're playing. They look like they're playing every starter. We got Sacramento will be traveling to New Orleans in the Smoothie King Center to play the New Orleans Pelicans. Those we know, we just went over the standings. Pelicans does need this game to get the win to keep up the pace. Hopefully, we get to that 5th seed. Sacramento clinched their playoff spot. Probably keep their seeding. Their seeding probably. They just got to figure out who they're gonna play. They got to just figure out who they're gonna play. That's all it is. But other than that, Mo, who you got to win this game? Who you got to win this game? Sacramento or New Orleans?
I think the Pels win. If you've been watching the Pelicans, Brandon Ingram has been on a tear lately, so I expect him to put up big numbers, not just with his scoring, but playmaking as well. CJ's been in kind of a slump, but you still got Valanciunas. I like Jones on the wings. I just think that if they can get healthy, get into the playoffs, they can get back Alvarado. They're going to be a fun team to watch, but I expect them to win because they really have something to play for. Sacramento, like you said, they're set at the 3. So I think this is more about a Pelicans. This is for a game the Pelicans need. I expect the Pelicans to win.
Got you. Des, who you got in this game?
I agree with Mo on this one. Pelicans, they got something to play for. And Sacramento, they're kind of set. They're set, really. I mean, even if they play, they're set. I think the only reason why they play their starters is to kind of see, what they got. Just a confidence booster. So I give the Pelicans, Brandon Ingram. I give credit where it's due. He spanked us with Denver for sure. So he's been on a tear. He's on a tear, man. And like Mo said, once they get healthy, Jones on the wing is great. I say Pelicans win. It's at home anyways. The Spirit win. Bring some New Orleans playoff atmosphere basketball. I think they get the dub tonight.
Yep. So this next very game, it matters. But we got the Lake Show going to Salt Lake City, Utah to play the Utah Jazz. Now, Utah Jazz been struggling. They've been struggling for the tail end of the second half. They not officially eliminated yet. But Lakers have a chance to put them out of the misery. They got a bunch of injuries. Utah got a bunch of injuries. I mean, we can expect LeBron James, Anthony Davis, D'Angelo Russell. They are doubtful, but they're going to play in the game. No doubt about that. They're going to play. But the other side of the ball, they're pretty beat up, and they're going to be out. So Walker Kessler, who's been a very good rookie for them this year out of Auburn, he's out. He's out for the season. He will not be playing anymore. Lauri Markkanen's doubtful. Colin Sexton, don't know where he's been. Rudy Gay, he's out. And the biggest one, Jordan Clarkson, is done. He's out. So, Mo, who you taking? No, you taking them down Lakers.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I take the Lakers in a blowout.
Okay.
I don't think it's going to be a close game. I think the Lakers need it. And I also think the Jazz don't want it. They're at the point where they didn't get all those picks not to be able to use them. I think they realized at some point that they've had I would say they overachieved to a degree.
Yeah, they did.
And no one saw marketing become what he's become. Now you got a centerpiece. So they can take all those picks, add some more people around him. I think Utah is going to be a problem going forward, but I don't think they want this win. Lakers will win by a blowout. Keep it moving.
All right. So, Des, who you got in this game?
I'm not a Laker fan, man, but I'm not a Laker fan, but you got to give it to the Lakers. They got to win tonight. They got to win. And the injury report, they all doubtful, but LeBron, we all know they're going to play. Yeah. We all know they're going to play. They're going to get the win. Mo, I agree with him. Like, Utah, I mean, most of those guys are out. They threw in the towel. They done. They're going to have second stringers play against first stringers, and you playing against one of the greatest of all time, LeBron James, Anthony Davis, D'Angelo Russell, against second and third stringers. It's going to be a blowout. It's going to be probably like a 120-89 game. The only reason why it may not is if somebody from Utah surprisingly goes off and said it's not your night for LA. But I say LA gets the dub. They're hungry for the playoffs. They want the smoke. And LeBron is hungry. And when LeBron is hungry for something, he's a bad man. I give him that.
He could turn into a Super Saiyan if he's hungry for something right now. So this game can be a really good one. This game is going to be a really good game, but OKC needs this game because guess what? They're in the 10th spot. They're over Dallas at this point. They're 38-41. The Golden State Warriors are 41-38. Now again, Oklahoma City needs the game because they're in the last spot. They're in the last playing tournament game. And right behind them is Dallas, who we will talk about tomorrow morning. But right now, OKC is in that last spot. And, I think the Warriors are up in that sixth and final seed. They're up in the sixth and final seed at this moment. So they will be playing the Kings in the 3-6 matchup if the playoffs started today. But the problem is we don't know who the Kings are going to play. We got to have to judge that to after the season. When the season
State needs to win too.
Look, Golden State does need to win. Both teams need to win this game to stay on course, and especially for OKC, they need to win just to keep the 6-10 seed. They need to win just to keep the 10 seed. So
let's go, OKC.
Mo, who you got in this pressure game right here? This is both teams on a lot of pressure.
It is. It might be the best game of the night. Yep. I'm taking OKC because
OKC, yeah, you're rolling with OKC. Okay.
Yeah, I'm rolling with OKC because OKC, in the end, if they win, they're doing my team a solid. I need OKC to win. They win, it pulls the Warriors down. Let's go. Let's go, Shay. I need Shay to drop about 40 tonight.
Well, imagine if that happened. Imagine if that happened. How the group chat gonna respond after that? Go
ahead. Man, I'm going for Golden State. I gotta go for Golden State. The reason is it in Golden State too?
Yeah, it's in Golden State.
Yeah, it might be on TNT. I think it might be on TNT tonight. I'm going to definitely look at it today.
They're good at home. OKC, the Warriors are pretty good at home, but you know what? Still going with them Thunder.
Hey, they want that smoke. I say Steph goes off. Klay Thompson, when they lost to Denver, that was definitely disappointing. Even though I'm a Nuggets fan, that was definitely disappointing for them to lose that way. He even said it flat out. We were not deserving to win that game. They are hungry, and I understand both teams. This is a sizzle type baking game where both teams need this game. OKC, I feel it's going to be one of those games where it comes down to the last shot or the last possession because both teams play physical defense. They both space the floor. They both run the floor. They both rebound, and they're aggressive. But I say probably a Steph Curry 3 wins this game.
You're going to have the edge. The Warriors have the edge because of their experience. There's no doubt. They need this, so you could go with their experience. But I'm going with those young legs. I'm going to say those young legs are going to cause that older team some problems. Look, if it's a close game, even better. That bodes well for OKC. Because Shea, when he's not making shots, he's living at the free throw line.
True. That's true.
Yeah, definitely. Man, I might pick it's out of the Lakers or Utah or the Thunder or Warriors. I might decide to do tonight. I like both of those candidates. Problem is Utah got so many injuries. Now, this is the last game before we discuss. We got to discuss before we get up out of here. Maybe a scrimmage game. This may turn into a scrimmage game. Really, really look quickly. It's a chance for Phoenix to get into some playoff mode to beat up on somebody before the playoff stretch. Make it turn into a little scrimmage game, pretty much. We got San Antonio, playing Phoenix tonight. Like I say, may turn into a scrimmage, pretty much a beat down early in the game, but no matter what it is. San Antonio, injury report, not looking good at all. Devin Vassell, their leader, he's out. Keldon Johnson, their best player, he's doubtful. Romeo Langford, doubtful. Zach Collins, doubtful. And Ken Birch is out for the Spurs and for the San Antonio and for the Phoenix. You got no injuries. So it may turn into a scrimmage game. Mo, who you want?
Well, you know what? This game is going to be a win-win for both teams. Phoenix is going to win, but the loss puts San Antonio that much closer to getting Big Vic. That's a win.
Yep.
Hey, I gotta agree with Mo on this one. It's a win-win situation, baby. Because you think about it, Phoenix, you get some high confidence. It's a scrimmage. You probably won't play most of. Is Phoenix playing all their starters, or is it everybody just? It's a scrimmage. What they're probably going to do is play, KD, Book, that whole starting five.
25 minutes.
Give you a confidence booster type quarters, probably first, second quarter, and then when it's up to double digits, probably 20, 30 point lead. You're gonna have to sit everybody down, see what you got on your bench. And then for San Antonio, you look at the future's bright. The future's bright. I mean, you got some young pieces. You know, you got some draft pick. You got some capital, and it gives you one step closer to getting Vic. With Greg Popovich, which is a Hall of Famer. I think San Antonio, I gotta give props too. They got, I think three All Stars, not three All Stars, but three All Stars that made the Hall of Fame this year. So I gotta
Yep.
give props where it's due to that too. So, but it's gonna be Phoenix all the way, man.
Yep, definitely, man. Appreciate everybody for being on the show today. We got the 2 hours, man. My guys,
Had a
Mo,
blast. Had a
Dave,
blast.
had a blast, man. Great morning show. Great. We all a great. We all a great duo, man. We all a great duo. So I enjoy this. So shout out to Freddie for allowing us to do this morning
What's up,
show
Freddie?
What's
and
up,
allow
Fred?
play by plays on the platform and stuff like that. So Mo, tell the people where they can follow you at.
Follow me right here at Empire Sports. This is the homie.
Yep. Then
You guys can follow me on Facebook, Instagram, Desmond 2015 234. I definitely hit up there, so just hit me up. I definitely just want to give a shout out to the squad. This morning was a great show. I love the energy, man. It's cold here in Denver, man. It was 68 yesterday. It is 38 and snowing right now. So I definitely give a shout out to you guys, and then I want to give a shout out to Coach Chin for the Sugar Skulls, the IFL football. They got his first win yesterday as a head coach. So I definitely want to give a shout out to them. They won 35-18 against San Diego Strike Force. So I just want to give a shout out to him and that organization because it's great to have a indoor football league, professional indoor football league. It's kind of weird because we kind of spring to summertime and it's indoors, but it's great to just have that type of entertainment. So I definitely want to give a shout out to them.
you know what? I'm gonna say one more thing before we get up. Before I let the people know, but it would be nice if Denver and the Lakers play, and Freddie and Dez to come up on that and do a play-by-play. That would be really nice, Freddie.
You guys
So
do
I'm
that,
gonna
and
let
I'll be in the
hey,
chat.
hey. The last time I did a play-by-play play with Freddie, I couldn't find him no more on there because what happened early on in the season.
So,
So go ahead.
question: if the Lakers win tonight, will they move up what to the what seed would they move up to then? If everything falls, would they move to like 6-5 or would they still be down
It,
like in the eight?
it, I think it depends on what happens. It depends on what happens. It depends on what happens to Golden State. I believe. I
Yeah.
don't. Do the
Okay,
Lakers own the tiebreaker? Do the Lakers on that tie against Golden
they own that
State?
tiebreaker. Okay,
So they would if OKC can beat them, they would jump. They would jump Golden State. They would actually jump. Plus the Lakers are on the back to back. They got Clippers tomorrow, so they would
cool.
have an opportunity to jump up, especially if they win tonight and OKC beats the Thunder.
Mhm.
OKC beats the Warriors. Lakers would definitely jump them because they own the tiebreaker. And if
Okay,
they beat the Clippers, I think the Lakers possibly jump the Clippers, so they can very much end up in that spot. So so it takes a OKC win and it takes a Laker win. They will be jumping. They
jump
will
the
be
spot.
they'll
Okay, for
jump.
sure. I just need that clarity because I won't lie. Denver sports. We've already talked about the possibility of Denver probably matching up with the Lakers. Denver, I think, is actually seeing it now as a as a possibility of probably matching up with them. So the thing, like I said, Denver, we just got to work on our defense because our defense is ranked 14th since the All Star break, and that's not good. So
Yep. So Freddie, remember possibly second round or whatever it is. If the Lakers in Denver play, I'm recommending between me, you, and Dez for a play-by-play. And Freddie,
let's do it. Let's do it.
I don't want to have to get no tissue for you next time. The last time y'all played them, all right? So y'all can follow me at Coach Dante on YouTube. Y'all can follow me at Coach Dante 30, Coach Dante that Rockets guy on Twitter. Y'all can find me right here, man. Y'all see the shirt right here. Y'all can find me right here with my guys on the morning show in the 7,200 seconds that with me and Key got today. If anybody want to come on as a special guest, you're definitely, kind of welcome to come on there as well. So y'all can find me everywhere, man. There's no introduction. But for us as Coach Dante, my boy Mo, my boy Dez, we'll see you guys next morning show. That is tomorrow. See you later, guys.
Peace.
Peace.